Most people think they lose arguments because they're not articulate enough, or not aggressive enough, or not intelligent enough. That's not why. They lose because they're arguing against something they never said. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how the Strawman Fallacy works, why people use it both deliberately and unconsciously, how it gives the illusion of intelligence, and how to shut it down so the argument stays focused on the actual point, not a cartoon version of your position. Once you see this, debates, conversations, and even past conflicts will suddenly all make sense. At its core, the Strawman Fallacy is a substitution error. Instead of engaging with your real argument, someone replaces it with a distorted version, attacks that weaker version, and claims victory. They're not responding to you, they're responding to a simplified, exaggerated, or emotionally loaded proxy. And here's the key detail most people miss. A strawman doesn't need to be completely false, it only needs to be misaligned. That misalignment is enough to derail the entire conversation. Healthy disagreements sound like this: I understand your position, but I see it differently. A strawman sounds like this: so what you're saying is, because what usually follows is not what you said. Let's make this painfully clear with some real examples, because once you hear them, you'll recognise them everywhere. So the original point might be that I think social media can negatively affect mental health if overused. The strawman response is, so you think everyone should delete their accounts and live like it's 1995? That's not what was said. No one said you should delete your account and live like it's 1995. You just mentioned the fact that it could negatively affect mental health. What about this one? We should be careful about taking on unnecessary debt. The strawman might say, right, because you believe no one should ever enjoy life or buy anything nice. Again, did you mention that? No. Another example might be that I don't think this policy will work long term. The strawman response might be that, so you're saying that people who support it are idiots? Again, you mentioned you don't think the policy will work long term. You didn't say anyone who supports it are idiots. What about this one? Discipline is more reliable than motivation. The strawman response might be that they say, so emotions don't matter and people should just suppress how they feel. That's not what the argument was. The argument was about discipline versus motivation, not about emotions mattering or not. What about this one? Remote work has some downsides. The strawman response might be that, so you want everyone miserable in cubicles again. Again, that's not what was said. What about this one? Not all criticism is hateful. The strawman might say, so you're defending online bullying. Again, we argued that not all criticism is hateful, not that we are defending online bullying. What about this one? Working 80-hour weeks isn't sustainable for most people. The strawman might say, so ambition is bad and success should be easy. Again, that was not what the argument was. This relationship needs better communication. The strawman response might be, so now everything is my fault. Again, we discussed communication, not that everything was that person's fault. This one is, I'm not convinced this supplement works. The strawman might say, so you don't believe in science at all. Again, the argument was about this supplement specifically, not in science on the whole. And finally, this argument. We should question popular opinions more often. The strawman might say, so you think you're smarter than everyone else? Again, we argued about popular opinions, not that I believe I'm smarter than anyone else. In every single one of these, the response makes the claim more extreme, adds intent that was never stated, shifts the debate from ideas to identity or morality. That's not misunderstanding, that's distortion. Now let's talk about intent, because yes, sometimes this is deliberate. It's easier to win. Nuance is hard to argue against. Extremes are easy to destroy. If I can turn your argument into something ridiculous, I don't have to defeat your logic, I just defeat the parody. This is why strawmen dominate, Political debates, online arguments, public discourse. Winning beats accuracy. It also controls the audience. In public debates, the strawman isn't aimed at you, it's aimed at everyone watching. The goal is to trigger emotion, create moral outrage, appear dominant, sound confident. Once emotion is activated, logic doesn't matter. It protects ego and status. Admitting you misunderstood someone requires humility. Strawmanning avoids that entirely. Instead of saying I was wrong, they say you believe something terrible. That preserves status even if it destroys truth. And it creates moral superiority. Strawmen often exaggerate your position into something unethical. Once that happens, the other person automatically becomes the reasonable one, the good one, the defender of values. That's why strawmen so often involve words like always, never, everyone, no one. Here's when it gets deeper and more human. Most strawmen are not malicious, they're psychological shortcuts. The brain hates complexity. So instead of holding a nuanced position in mind, it compresses it into something simpler and often wrong. This isn't stupidity, it's efficiency gone rogue. When people feel criticised, threatened or exposed, listening shuts down. They don't respond to what you said, they respond to how it felt. That emotional reaction rewrites your argument in their head. That's emotional hijacking. And then projection. People often hear your argument through their own insecurities. If they feel judged easily, they'll hear judgment. If they fear inadequacy, they'll hear accusation. They're not arguing with you, they're arguing with themselves, using your words as a trigger. And what about poor listening habits? Many people listen to respond, not to understand. They grab fragments, reconstruct them inaccurately, and attack the result. Accuracy was never the goal, speed was. And this is where straw men become toxic. You say, I feel overwhelmed. They hear, you're saying I'm failing. You say, I don't agree with how this was handled. They hear, you're saying I'm incompetent. Over time, people stop communicating, not because they disagree, but because they're constantly defending positions they don't hold. This is how intimacy erodes. So how do you spot a straw man instantly? Well, here are some giveaways. Your argument suddenly sounds more extreme. Your intent is assumed, not clarified. Nuance disappears. You feel forced to defend something you don't believe. And you keep saying, that's not what I said. These phrases exist because straw men exist. So how do we call it out without escalation? This is critical. Emotion hands control to the other person, so instead, use calm frame correction. Option 1 is to restate cleanly. That's not my position, let me restate it clearly. Option 2 is name the distortion. You're responding to an exaggerated version of my point. And option 3 is to force accuracy. Before we continue, can you repeat my actual argument back to me? This exposes whether the conversation is honest immediately. So how do we ensure we argue the real point? So ask yourself, am I defending something I actually believe? Has the original claim shifted? Are we discussing ideas or attacking intent? If the frame drifts, pull it back. Let's stay with the original point. Control the frame, control the conversation. Knowing this doesn't mean abusing it. It means you're no longer naive. Straw men are used to distract, manipulate, gaslight, and avoid weak arguments. If you don't recognise them, you'll over-explain, get emotionally drained, chase false debates. Clarity is defence. Most arguments don't fail because people disagree. They fail because they aren't even discussing the same thing. If you can avoid straw men, yours and theirs, you instantly rise above most conversations. That's not about being louder, that's about being precise. So if this has changed how you see arguments, debates or past conflicts, share it, because the world doesn't need more opinions, it needs clear and clean thinking.